Hello there and welcome to my channel, Novice Modelling in a Midlife Crisis. My name is Andy and as you can see we are looking again at my Tasman 172 Airspeed Oxford Mark II, which is kit number TM105, and we've made a bit of progress. We've got some parts together, the wings are ready to be stuck on, the tail is pretty much done. We've got one of our engine nacelles complete and we'll do the other one while we're on camera. We've cut out our pieces of vacuform parts, which, as you can see, go over the fuselage itself. I've still got a little bit of minor work to do before they're ready to go on. This one here goes on here, and yes, it's got some yellow there which has been hand painted, so I'll explain what that's all about in a second. I had a conversation with one of my regular commenters, Brian, yesterday, and he suggested that the aircraft was yellow and black, to which I responded, oh no, it's dark earth and dark green, because it has this under-over camouflage pattern, which is kind of unusual as it's normally grey underneath on most aircraft. And anyway, so I've had another look at this and I'm just going to read this out because Brian was more right than I was at the end of the day. But unfortunately, Brian, you were still wrong. So let's actually have a read here of the colour scheme and painting guide. And as you can see, it says here Royal New Zealand Air Force NZ 1290, which is the one that we're building because we're building this for New Zealand Day. So I'm just going to read this out. Surely the most colourful and striking Oxford scheme ever. This aircraft was operated by the Air Calibration Flight based at Rongotai, now Wellington Airport. Those based in Christchurch had a similar scheme of yellow and black. Please note that the position of the fuselage roundel and surrounding red band shown on the box top side view is fractionally too far to the rear. Refer to the port side illustration for the correct positioning. The painting of the black walkways is restricted to the main inner wing walkway. When masking off the paint lines and curve over the undercarriage rear engine nacelles, keep in mind that these are straight lines when viewed vertically. It will require careful masking to ensure that these lines stay straight. Note that there is a yellow surround to the fuselage and underwing roundels, but none around the upper wing roundels. The two red bands on the top of each wing match up exactly with those under the wings. Keep this in mind when masking both surfaces. So it transpires that this aircraft is actually yellow and red. High visibility, obviously. So, I mean, when you have another look at this painting diagram, you can see there's a colour here. Identification red, Humbrol 174, and identification yellow, Humbrol 24. And they are the actual colours, even though they're grey and black, or black and white on the diagram, that denote red and yellow. And as we can see here, this walkway on the wings is most definitely a different colour, which is quite obviously black as per reading the instructions. So you can see there we've got black and here we have red. So kind of randomly, I picked this obviously because New Zealand Air Force Headquarters Calibration Flight 1944, and it transpires I'm going to be painting this thing in red and yellow. That's going to look pretty damn cool, I think, you know, considering it's going to be standing next to a load of other aircraft which are painted in greens and browns and greys. So I'm really happy with that. Kind of random, but it seems we're going to have a jolly old time. So I'm going to paint this in a Army Painter colour primer matte white, and then we're going to be using XF7 flat red and XF2 flat yellow to paint the fuselage. So this is why I've started building up a little bit of paint here underneath the cockpit canopy, because as you can see, underneath the canopy is going to be yellow, and that appears to be correct as per the diagrams. So I need to get that yellowed up before I put my sort of overcoat on, because this has to be fixed in place for the painting. So I mean, that's quite an interesting way of building an aircraft with this large piece here and this piece going over the side. And like I say, I've got a little bit of tidying up that I need to do just to try and make this flush, but I'm kind of concerned it's not going to come out perfect. The engines in the engine nacelles, I've actually used a spare part from my spares box, because I think the intention is to actually sort of mount these in here, but as you can see, there's no fixing points, so they kind of just sort of float around, and trying to get them in was, well, it kind of works I suppose, but trying to get them in straight was proving to be a bit of a nightmare. So I've attached this thin grey piece here, which is actually a undercarriage bay from another aircraft, and that fits on quite well. And I've painted that in XF84 dark iron, and I'm going to be mounting my engine there, so that'll look pretty cool. To do that, I'm going to be using some CA UK black. There's also a landing light here. Now in the instructions it says to form 2 lights in the landing light. I've pinched this is just a bit of random plastic off any spare glazed section, and I didn't have two of these that were the same, or 2 that would even fit into this area, so I'm just going to be using 1. There is a small piece of plastic which I'm kind of guessing is the correct thing, which is sort of on the back in the sort of what looks like wastage on here, and as you can see, that fits in when it's after I've trimmed it down, that is anyway, nice and snug in there. So that's going to look pretty cool when we get that fixed in place. I think I've just lost it. Where the hell's that gone? It'll be here somewhere. There it is. Whew, that was a close one. So I'm going to put that back in there safely. Anyone got any ideas on what I'm supposed to do with these propellers? I mean, I'm thinking that they're wooden. There isn't really any indication as to what colour they're supposed to be, so I think I'm just going to paint these in some sort of brown sort of wood effect. So that's what we're going to be doing with those. So they're going to go on later. We're going to have a yellow and red plane, which is pretty damn cool if you ask me. We've also done a load of filling, as you can see here. We've filled this part in here. This extra section of the wing we've filled in. There does appear to be a bit of a ridge going on one of them, where one of them is quite flush. These had to be manipulated quite a bit with the Dremel when I tried to put them in, because they were definitely too proud when I just put them in as per sticking them in. So yeah, we've got a bit of filler in there. This engine looks pretty cool. As far as going together, I mean, I've got to be honest with you, it went together quite well. There's been a little bit of sanding and filing on the seam lines, but they seem to be reasonably well. This one maybe needs a little bit more. I might have a little play around with that. Obviously we've got the tail plane on as well. That's pretty straight, I think you can see, so I'm quite happy with that. There has been suggestions about drilling and rodding this, but I don't have any brass rod, I don't have any experience with it, and I've got to have this finished within 4 days, so I'm just going to be putting a small amount of the CA UK black on. I'm going to stick it in place, and when I'm happy with what it looks like, I'll put some extra thin on the edges, and hopefully that will keep it nice and tight. So anyway, what we're going to do now is we're going to stick this engine onto this nacelle. Like so, trying to get it the right way up, with that bit going upwards. And this stuff goes off really quick and doesn't seem to be particularly bothered about the fact that parts have been painted. So that's great. And this bit here has a bit of a part taken out of it. And there are some, as you can see, some sort of exhaust ports and what have you. And there is another little bit that goes on. So I've decided to line that up with this little notch here. So that's where I'm going to be putting that in place. And for that, we're going to be using some Tamiya cement. So I'm just going to put that around around here, around the edges. Like so. And then our seam lines line up horizontally, I suppose you could say. So that's looks like that's going to fit all quite nicely into there. In the other one that we're giving away, the Tasman Oxford, Tasman Oxford Mark 5, there are details on how you can win that probably tomorrow, I think. And it does actually come with replacement. I forget what these are called. This part here, the engine cowling, is actually made out of, I think it's a resin part, because these are, they don't look very, very round, very, very circular. And I suppose, I mean, I have actually had a go at filing this down a little bit. But, I mean, you could spend weeks trying to get a perfect circle and still end up with something that looks a bit oval like this. So I think there were a few extra parts in that. There's also 2 options on engines in the Mark 5 as well. So that's pretty cool. So we got our light kind of almost right. We've discovered that we're going to be painting this yellow and red. Wow, that's just going to be awesome. So I'm pretty happy as it stands at the minute. And I'm going to try and put these together off camera, because it's quite a fiddly part. And I'm not too certain whether anybody wants to watch me fanning around with this for 25 minutes. And then I'm going to play around with this a little bit more, stick this on. And I'm going to throw some primer on it, probably after I've had something to eat. So there we go. Yellow and red Airspeed Oxford on the way. We're going to cheers the fact that we discovered that we're going to do a pretty cool looking coloured aircraft for this build, which is totally unexpected and totally random. So I'm going to have myself a little swift of my Escape Race Premium single malt whiskey, which is going down a treat. Which is going down a treat. I did point out in the tasting notes on this, it had spiced walnuts, cider apples, and sweet hay. And I've got to be honest with you, I can taste the hay. I like it. So thanks very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe. And we're going to have a bright yellow and red aircraft on the way. Be seeing you.